BeeHive by Junji Ito. It starts with a couple, Takano and Yuriko, taking a walk. Yuriko is telling him he doesn't talk about bees anymore and he used to talk about the bees all the time. Takano responds, collecting beehives is his hobby, and he has other things as well, he's just not into it these days, and tells Yuriko to forget about the bees and they kiss, but he stops when he notices a giant hornet and says that they're rare around here, then runs after it. Yuriko chases after him and says wait. Takano notices the hornet getting lower, so the nest must be nearby. Yuriko finally catches up to him saying that she can't believe it's going in that direction and asks if he found the hive. He responds no, but he doesn't give an answer why he stopped chasing it, which is kind of strange. Takano asks Yuriko to come over to see his collection because he got new ones. Yuriko teases him, I get it, you're scared of the ghost, and says the story about the ghost that you'll hear strange noises that sound like they're coming from a kid. Takano thinks that's ridiculous. Yuriko asks Takano if he knows the weird kid and that he's been missing for a while. Yuriko adds on saying that she met him when she found the beehive under the eaves of her house. It was also the day she met him, Takano. Okay, this is a flashback of that day. Yuriko and I would say her mom are looking at the side of their house and they see a beehive, and the neighbor next door tells them the same thing. He said he had one of them a year ago. Yuriko's mom asks which exterminator he called, but he was like, nah, he had one of the neighborhood kids take the wasps. He did it with his bare hands. Crazy. Watching from the sidewalk is Takano, and the neighbor goes on saying that he was a weird one. He wasn't afraid of the wasps at all, and he kept talking to himself. He thinks he wanted to keep the beehive for himself, but thanks to him, the beehives are gone. The mom asks how she can find the kid. He said he doesn't know, but he sees him from time to time. He said he lives around here. Takano walks up and introduces himself and asks if she doesn't mind, he could take the beehive off their hands. They ask if he's an exterminator, but he's like, nah, I was just passing by, and his hobby is collecting beehives, and this one's a beauty. The mom says yes please and runs to get a ladder. Takano stops her, saying he can't do it now, the wasps are more active during the day, so he'll wait for them to go to sleep at night and come back. Suddenly the kid shows up saying he'll take the beehive for them and asks for the ladder. Yuriko tells him that Takano will take care of it, and it says it'll be dangerous for him. The kid says that Takano uses an insecticide and that he can get the hive off without killing the wasps, and adds that this area used to be a forest. People cut down all the trees to build the town. That's why there's so many wasps here. They used to live in the woods, so he thinks people should just leave. But anyways, as for the ladder, I like the blank stares they give him after he does that little speech right there. Once he gets up there, he tells the bees to get inside, and that they're moving. He picks up the hive and gets down. Takano is admiring his skills, and the kid walks away saying he'll keep this one. Takano follows the kid like a creep and says hold it, he was the one that found the beehive, but the kid responds, well, I'm the one that took it down though. Takano says that he's seen him in the woods and ask if he's a collector too, because lately someone's been sneaking around taking the beehives he finds. But he's not saying the kid is the only one, but he is one of them, right? The kid responds saying that he's just saving the hives from suckers like him. The wasps are his friends. Takano tries to take the hive by force, then the wasps fly out of the hive and attack him. Yuriko sees Takano running away and she rushes to see if he's okay. Takano says yeah, and he looks to where the kid was at, but he's gone now. Yuriko asks if they stung him and why they attack him. Takano jumps to his feet. Yuriko introduces herself and says that she followed him to say thanks. Takano says for what? He didn't do anything, then asks when she moved into town. She responds 3 months ago. Takano says that he said he's been here for a year. He likes how there's a lot of bees. Then after this, they become pals. The next scene is Yuriko walking in the forest for some reason, and she sees Takano. She goes up to him and asks, what's he doing? Takano is using tuna to lure the bees. The ones he's looking at right now are called the black wasps. He makes a food ball for them to take to the larvae, and he marked the tuna with cotton. The cotton acts as a tracer. He'll follow it back to their beehive. They begin to run after the wasps. They follow it back to the cave, so that's where the hive must be. Yuriko wants to go inside with him. Takano stops her, saying that the wasps are vicious and she could get killed. As soon as he enters the cave, he hears loud buzzing. Walking deeper in the cave, Takano sees the kid feeding frogs to the wasps and them crawling on his face. Takano is watching in disbelief. How can different kinds of wasps get along like that? How did the boy bring them here? Takano walks out of the cave and tells Yuriko the hive was smaller than he thought. Takano narrating now, saying that he wanted to pay his respect to the boy for his amazing collection. The boy who's gone missing now. Now back at the present. Yuriko and Takano are chilling looking at his collection. Suddenly, Yuriko brings up the missing boy again and says she thinks someone killed and buried the body in the woods. The rumor said it's a ghost of that boy, and she agrees. The panel transitions to later later that night. Takano is walking in the woods with the shovel, thinking to himself that he better replace it before someone hears the rumor and starts digging around. He went back to the cave and ran into that boy. The wasps attack him. Even though he had protective gear on, he panicked and strangled him. Now he sees a marker. Some bee hunters were hunting here during the day. He remembers the hornet he saw earlier and thinks the hive is in the ground. He finds it, then smokes the hive with the insecticide, claiming that he'll get to this one before the kid. I thought he already killed the kid by this point, so he doesn't have to worry about him, but nonetheless. Looking upon the hive, two men see him. Now he hurries to dig it up, but suddenly the hive gets stuck. He stabs the root that's stopping it. He picks it up and runs away while the two men are chasing him. Takano, at home now, admiring his achievement, but then notices blood on his hands. He shrugs it off, thinking that he might have hurt a mole or something when he cut off the root. Then he goes, takes a bath, and calls it a night. The next day, Yuriko is banging on Takano's door. He opens it, and she says that they found the missing boy. It was found by bee hunters. He was buried in the woods. His head was chopped off. When they found the body, it was still bleeding. They also saw a man run away with the boy's head, and the police are after him. Takano thinks to himself that he really was buried in the woods and slams the door on Yuriko. He's walking, thinking, run away with the head. He goes into his collection room and notices the blood coming from his new beehive. He rips part of the hive apart, then sees two eyes of the missing boy. He screams. The head is inside the hive. The giant hornets must have built the beehive around the buried head. But how and why? He thinks about the hornet he saw. He had a big chunk of tuna, so the food was for the boy, and that means he was buried alive. It's hard to believe that the hornets were taking care of the boy, but that's the only explanation. It was his neck, not the root of a tree, so he cut the head off without knowing. Now the hornets are coming out of the hole, and they begin to attack Takano. The narration, the hornets started to make meatballs from his body to feed the boy. Then they start to mend the broken hive. Soon their home would be whole again.